Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom More for Cybertron Tracks. So as we always do here, let's go ahead and bring that packaging in. Take a good look at that. So there you go, right up at the top, you have Autobot Tracks. You have his nice Corvette mode artwork right there. Kingdom War for Cybertron, Transformers up the side. You have the Kingdom artwork on the side. On the back, you get the product shots, and down here you get all your warnings, and oh, thank goodness the sad baby is there. I was getting worried. On the side here you do have the artwork for his robot mode, and he is a deluxe class. And if I put that in an angle right there, let you take a nice look at both modes there. As always, the artwork on these Kingdom boxes is just phenomenal. They're really knocking them out of the park. And up here at the top, War for Cybertron K26, and on the bottom you have some manufacturing information. So that's it for the packaging. Let's take a look at what came in there. First and foremost, maybe the most important document that we will see today, you have your sheet of warnings. Whew, again, thank goodness, so happy that was in there. Next, you do get your instructions, and then you get your collector's card / sticker, and in this case I got another Dinobot. Yes, I do know that this is a sticker. Yes, I do know that this peels away to reveal more underneath this. No, I will not be peeling it. So there you go. And as far as Tracks himself goes, he does come with 2 accessories. The first of which is this pistol right here. So this is just molded in black plastic. Not a lot of detail, not a lot to write home about here. But there you go. And then the second thing that he comes with is this, I'm going to call it a missile rack. And these are, or this is molded in white plastic. A little bit of detail on there. Again, not much to write home about. But overall, not too bad. Alright, so let's go ahead and we will bring in Tracks for his close-up. And we will start right up here with that face and head sculpt. And what a great job here. This is a really nice head sculpt. This face sculpt looks nice. You've got those blue eyes and his face is red, so obviously he's very embarrassed. I don't want to put him on the spot and ask him what it is, so we're just going to let that go. And we'll come down here, we'll look at that chest. Great molded in detail there. Get that nice Autobot symbol right there in the middle with that yellow background, which is something that we don't see a lot. Make your way down here to the crotch. You've got that white painted cod piece right there. Come down here to the upper thighs and you've got good molded in detail. Something else worth noting is if you look on the inside of the thighs here, you even in there, instead of just having a hollow area, you do get some detail, so that kind of looks like a maybe like a spring-loaded piston of some kind, or some kind of mechanical detail in there, which is nice. Come down here to the shins. Good detail there. Would have been nice if Hasbro could have found a different place to put a part number, but you know, it is what it is. And you come down here, and he has what I think are tiny little feet, but there's enough of a heel back here that it makes him really stable. So it doesn't negatively affect posability. They just, I think they look kind of small compared to the rest of his lower body proportionally. And coming over here to the side, he's got pretty much the front end of a car hanging on the side of his leg. That's okay. It's worth keeping in mind that this is a $20, $25 deluxe class figure. So, you know, there will be limitations. One thing I do want to note real quick, and there'll be something worth noting in the car mode for this as well. These are they kind of almost tab in, so there's a slot there and there's an almost tab right there, but very similar to the B127 and the Cybertronian Cliffjumper in the Studio series, there's just not enough there to keep those in place. So really this is being held in place by the friction of this pin, not really tabbing in. So just something worth noting there. And coming up here to the side, not a lot going on for the sides here. He's just got a big open area, but it doesn't look all that bad, especially when you put the arm down. For the arms themselves, you do have this nice painted detail here, a little bit of detail right there, and then these wheels and tires look pretty good. Back here in the wings, you get some mechanical detailing and some molded in detail, which makes them look pretty nice. Now you do have the hollow areas right here, but this is due to transformation. It's just the way that those fists swing in to get them out of the way. And yep, he's a Trax. He's got a big Corvette backpack, and that's okay, because if you're going to have a backpack, then having half of a Corvette hanging off your back isn't the worst thing in the world. So back here on the backs of the wings, you get some detail, and here looks pretty nice, and then you've got some Corvette hood down there. And for the most part, I don't think he looks too bad for a $25 deluxe figure. All right. Now, as far as the articulation goes in this guy, his head is on a ball joint, but you're not going to get a lot out of it. You're going to get a little bit down, a little bit up, maybe some side to side, but not much. And then as far as turning the head, you're not going to get much either before he starts running into his collar right here. So be careful as you're turning that head, because this is painted. So, over time, you may scratch the paint off. So just something to be aware of there. Coming down here to the shoulders for the articulation. Now you do get a reverse butterfly joint. So if you want to bring that arm back a little bit, you can do that. This is due to transformation, but why not take advantage of it for posing? So you can do that. And you do have on the wings, you can pretty much angle those wherever you want. So up to you. And for the articulation in the shoulders themselves, they'll come up that far, and then you can go all the way around, and you do get bicep rotation, and you get it 90 degrees at the elbow. And the only thing you get at the hands is just the swiveling those in. You don't get any rotation there. You do, however, get waist rotation, which is nice. So you can take that all the way around, and in fact you will as part of transformation. And look at this, guys. Look. This is a fantastic Van Damme. So really good articulation in those hips. And as far as kicking forward, he can kick forward that far and kick backward that far before he starts running into his backpack. And here at before we get to the knees, he does have the thigh swivel. And down here at the knees, I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see it. You do get right at 90 on rotation for those knees, or at a 90-degree angle for those knees. Down here at the feet, you can bring them, if I can hold this steady, it'd be really nice if those tabbed in. You can bring the feet forward that far, backward that far, and then they're on a ball joint, so you get a really good degree of movement out of those. So you can put this guy in some pretty nice poses. So overall, articulation is really good on this guy. The head is probably the most limited part, but not enough to be detrimental. And there you go. So yeah, our details on articulation, details on this guy look really nice. A couple of hollow areas, nothing that's too major, especially for a deluxe. And the articulation is great. You're going to be able to get this guy into some amazing poses. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and bring in his accessories and show you what you can do with those in this mode. So it's not going to be anything too groundbreaking here. There's only 2 accessories, but first and foremost, we can point out good news, the accessories are FX compatible. So you do have the ability to give him some pew pew bang bang right there, which is awesome. So you can, of course, with that pistol, stick it in his hand and if you want to do that. And yep, that is an exact quote. That is the sound that his pistol makes. I'm running with that, and we can pretend that never happened. And for the missile rack, you have the same thing here. So you do have those ports where you can just put those on the missile rack. And I think with that, that just looks really cool. You've got some double-barreled craziness there. And you can put that in his hand if you want. That's an option. You also have the forearm option for the pistol or the missiles, which looks so cool. Or if you can fit it, you can move those down. You can have some shoulder mounted missile bang action, or you can use this port right up here at the top. And you can have him, if I get it lined up, there we go. And you can have him getting crazy with some missile action. So there you go. Really, really cool stuff, guys. So love playing with effects on these figures. And lo and behold, I don't know if this will work. Oh yeah. Yep, there you go. So he's taking fire. There you go. He's taking fire and he's given fire. So excellent. Excellent stuff. All right, so what what I'll do is I will get this guy cleaned up, and we'll get him transformed into his alt mode. All right, so to get Tracks transformed into his Corvette mode, first thing to do, if you haven't already done so, is go ahead and remove those accessories off of him. And then we'll bring him in here, and you can take these arms, move the fists, bring the fists in like that, and then rotate those arms 180 degrees so they look like that. And then you can line the arms and the wings up and just have them out like that. So same thing over here. Take your fists in, rotate that around 180 degrees, and bring those out. And then you've got the arms ready for when we need them later. So the next thing that you can do, come back here, undo his backpack. So you're just going to give that backpack a pull. It just connects right up there with a tab and a slot. Lift that up out of the way. While you're up here, go ahead and pull the windshield out. It's on a double hinge. And get that put in place. And then, for the most part, you have the top of the car complete and sitting right there above his head. And now you can come down here to this area, and you're going to pull Tracks apart right here and just unaccordion him so you have him all spread out like that. Now you can turn your attention to his legs right here. So if you want, go ahead and turn that waist 180 degrees. Come back here, and you're going to open this port up right here. Basically, you're going to open his shin up, and what you're going to do here is you're going to need to collapse the leg in on this double hinge, but this is a little bit tricky. So this is the part that you could get hung up on easily. So pay close attention to this. So you're going to not only do this, but you also need to swing this foot around, and you need to tuck that foot up and above right here. So as you're bringing that leg in, you're bringing this foot over. So you should have something like that. Close that up. And what you want to do is you want to make sure, so this is your before and this is your after. So make sure that you take that foot and you swing that foot all the way over. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Open this up. Bring this leg down, and as you're bringing the leg down, you're taking that foot and you're swinging that around to the other side, collapsing that in, and then closing that shin back up. And now you've just got your standard tab and slot system in there, and you're going to squeeze those together. And now you have the feet up on this side. And what you want to do, if you're looking at the car from the side, you want to have the feet angled so they're up like this, because what we're going to have to do here in a minute is we're going to have to slide those feet up into where the driver and the passenger would be sitting if this were a real car. So the next step, if it hasn't already done it for you automatically, push this down. This is the faux top of the car. So it's on a pin back here. So in robot mode, it's pulled out like that. Car mode, collapse it in, because the next thing that you're going to do here is you're going to lift this up. And be careful when you do this, because remember, this is a painted head. Swing this around 180 degrees, and when you do, be sure to not rub anything on that head. So you're going to bring the car body around so it's like that, and there is just enough clearance where it won't fit there, but be careful of these fins when you're spinning it around, because those fins, depending on how you have this angled, could rub against that head. So just be careful not to rub your paint off. Alright, so now that you have him in about this position, you're going to take the body of the car, the upper body of the car, and you're going to bring that down. Now, this is the part that is my least favorite part of the transformation. You have two clear tabs here, and then you have a clear slot in there. The clear tabs are going to go underneath the hood here and here, and then that slot is going to line up to these two tabs that when they're combined, those will both fit into that same slot. But in order to do this, you have to bypass a lot of this geometry right here. So there's a lot of squeezing and manipulating and pushing on plastic and clearance issues, and it makes me a little bit nervous. But let's go ahead and do this. You just need to start squeezing everything down, and then once you get it about right here, you're just going to give it a good squeeze and it'll snap into place. And then you can come up under here, and you'll notice that you do have these little hook groove areas that are just going to line up with those windshields, or these clear areas by the windshield, and then you just need to manipulate those into place as well. So it's not the most elegant thing, but once you get it hooked in, you're all good. There we go. So like I say, there's just a lot of manipulation and a lot of I don't know, nervous transformation components there. It's not my favorite for sure, but once it all comes together, it all snaps together really well up there. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll talk about it now before we get the arms in there. This is a huge gripe for me. So not only in robot mode do we not have tabs and slots that are big enough to hold the sides of the car against his leg, you get into car mode, and yeah, you're held very securely back here with this hook system, but up here at the front, you can see those tabs, or those little pegs, if you will, that go into ports that are on the insides of this, and they line up, and you can squeeze them together, but they don't stay. So you're left with this permanent gap, and I'm not really a big fan of that. So anyway, let's continue on with the transformation. So after you have this completed, then it's just a matter of bringing these in like that and swinging this down. So let's do the same thing over here. Bring this in and swing this down. And when you do, just give these a push, and those will snap into place very nicely, actually. This is nice. This up here, not so much. Go ahead and snap that one into place. Give that a nice click. And other than this really annoying gap that I'm just going to have to learn to let go, you have tracks in his Corvette mode. And I think overall, he looks really good in this mode, other than this gap. But everything else looks really good. So let's go ahead and take a look at those details, and I'm going to do my best to ignore the gap. So right up there in front, you have a really nice looking grille. You do have those really nice intakes right there, and then just these scoops down here for the air dam. I think those are nice touches. And of course, you got the big flame on the hood, and you've got the Autobot logo. And if you look closely at the molded in detail on this, you know, the sculpt work here is really nice. I mean, you do have little turn signals that are molded in, and then of course you do have these little ports right here, the stingray gills, if you will. And then you have the door handle right there, and then you've got some tail lights, or excuse me, some side lights going on right there. And then if you look here in the back, this I do kind of like, actually. So you have your dual exhaust, but then if you look right here, it just looks like you have one major huge exhaust that I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but you know, hey, that's cool. You could do that, so that's always fun. And if I squint, I can see these two fins as racing stripes, so that helps. And then back here in this back window, I don't know what this detail is supposed to be, if you can see through that window, but it looks really cool. I like it. All right, and there is the right side of the car. There he is from the top. There he is from the bottom. Nice thing about this is there's no obvious robot kibble, so it does clean up really nicely down here. I do like that. So overall, not too bad. So now what we can do, before we get to the comparisons, what I'll go ahead and do is we'll have a little bit of fun with effects here, and I will show you, you know, how he looks with his accessories on in this mode. So the first thing that I want to show, this actually kind of goes into the third mode that he has, the flying mode. But I think, just from a car standpoint, just flipping these fins up, I think that looks pretty darn cool, man. You know, maybe it's just my opinion, but I think that looks great. I would almost prefer to keep these up in car mode. So that's probably, when I have him in car mode, that's probably how I'm going to display him. So just something to note. Now, as far as the accessories go, you can take your missile rack and you can put your missile rack right here in this port. So just plug it in, and you've got a missile rack right there. I think, you know, for the most part, hey, it is what it is. It's weapon storage, and it is kind of what Tracks does. And then if you take that pistol, you could take the pistol and you could put it in these ports on the side. So if you want to do something like that, you know, nice weaponized Tracks, you can do that. But you can also go ahead and put it right there. So now you've got some three-way action for some weaponized car mode, if you want to do that. And you can't really get effects on this mode or on the missiles when he's in this mode, but you sure can do it on the pistol. So, oh yeah, there you go. That looks cool. And, you know, a little bit of the spoiler from earlier. Take some of this and... oh yeah. Tell me that isn't cool. I like that a lot. That's a lot of fun. So it kind of interferes when you've got him on the ground, but hey, he can still rocket car all day long. And then you do, on these ports on the side, you know, you could do something like that if you want as well. So there you go. All right, so what we will do now is I'll go ahead and I'll get those weapons off of him, and we will bring in some comparisons so you can see how he looks compared to some other vehicles from some of the other lines. All right, so the first comparison that we have is Shatter, as we saw her in her muscle car mode from the Bumblebee movie. So you can see a couple of muscle cars sitting there together. Next up, we have the Human Alliance Sideswipe from Dark of the Moon. So you could see a couple of Corvettes hanging out together. Next up, we have Kingdom Tracks with the Binaltech Tracks. So two blue Corvettes looking like they're ready to race. All right, next up, we have the War for Cybertron trilogy comparison. So you have Kingdom Tracks in his Corvette mode next to the Earthrise Sunstreaker in his Lamborghini mode. Next up, we have the MP26 Plus Road Rage. So this is the MP26 Masterpiece mold for Tracks. This is just one of the alternate characters from that mold, the Road Rage character. So instead of a blue Corvette Stingray, she's a red Corvette Stingray. And last but not least, here we have the Kingdom Tracks next to the G1 Issue 2 tracks. So you've got the new guy on the left with the OG on the right. Alright, so now that we have the alt mode comparisons out of the way, what we'll do is make a quick camera adjustment here, and I will show you Tracks in his third mode, his flying mode. Alright, so to get Tracks into his third mode, the flying mode, what you're going to do is you're going to come down here to the underside, and you're going to take these arms that you had just put away, and you're going to pull those arms and bring those out. Do this on both sides. If you have to, give these arms a little bit of a twist to help get them out of there. Bring those arms up like that, and then you're going to bring them out like that. Do that on both sides. Swing these wings back a little bit. Give him that nice swept wing look. Then you're going to bring these arms forward, and you're going to rotate these arms around so the yellow is facing upward. Alright, so you should have something that looks like that. And then your last step is just to take those fins and lift those fins up, and then get everything straightened out the way you want it to be. And there you have Tracks in his flying mode. So it's nothing too amazing, but this is the classic Tracks, and it's really cool to see this mode. I really do enjoy it. And you know, of course, if you want to arm him up, take your accessories here, plug them in right there, and now you have flying Tracks ready to take somebody down. As a matter of fact, why doesn't he go ahead and do that? Again, let's have some fun with the accessories because we can. And of course, he is Rocket Tracks. So there you go. That's pretty awesome. Now, the only thing missing is a flight stand. It would have been so nice if they could have supplied a flight stand for this guy, kind of like they did for the Studio Series Soundwave, the version where he turns into a satellite. A flight stand with this just would have been incredible, because I would have loved to have displayed this guy like this. And I'm sure I can find a third-party flight stand that would connect somewhere back here, and if not, I will just 3D print one. But it would have been nice to have had that included in the package. So there you have Tracks in his flying Corvette mode, which I think is really cool. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and get all this stuff off of Tracks, and I'll get him transformed back into his robot mode, and we'll do some comparisons from there. Alright, so to get Tracks transformed back into his robot mode, first thing that I'm going to start with is I'm going to take these wings back here and I'm going to fold them back in where they belong. The reason I do that is it sure makes it a lot easier to grab these accessories and take those off and put those off to the side. And really, for all intents and purposes here, you have the arms complete, so all you need to do is just fold those fists out. Do that on either side. And boom, your arms are done. So now you can turn your attention down here to the part that makes me nervous, that I like the least. Where you're just going to come down here and you are going to apply some pressure and break that loose. Oh, I really don't like that part. And then you can take this body and give it a pull, and everything will start coming apart right there, and then you can just lift this the rest of the way up. And when you do, go ahead and turn that around, keeping in mind you want to watch that geometry going around that head. Make sure you don't rub anything off, rub any of that paint off. And then right here, you're just going to take that windshield, you're going to collapse that in on that double hinge. There we go. Bring that in, give it a push, and collapse that in. So you pretty much have the backpack completed now and the arms completed. So you can start turning your attention down here to the rest of this. So come back here and open one of these up. And when you do, be sure to take that foot and bring that foot back around this way with you, and then unfold the leg or expand it out. So hopefully that's capturing on the camera. It's not the most elegant thing in the world. And then you spin that foot around and extend that leg out and close that up. And you know, if you want to try to align that tab and slot, if you want to call them those, you can do that, and then you have one leg done. So do the same thing over here. Open this up, bring that foot around and extend that leg out, bring that foot down, and then close this up, and then you have two legs done. Go ahead and rotate that on the waist. Take this chest, pull the chest out. That will give you the room in here to collapse all this up, and right here on the back of the chest you've got some slots. They're going to align to those tabs right there. So you're just going to accordion all of this, bring it up, and give it a gentle push. And what I do from here is I grab him here and at the top of the head, and I give him a squeeze, and that will snap this into place. And now he's nice and solid. He's not going to fall apart on you. All right, bring those arms down. There. I didn't have that leg all the way where it needed to be. All right, so your leg should look like that. All right, and then take this backpack, bring that down. You have this tab right here that's going to go to that slot right there. So you're going to line all that up, give that a gentle push, and now you have Tracks finished back in his robot mode. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll get him straightened out, and we will bring in some robot mode comparisons so you can see how he stacks up against some of the other guys. Alright guys, so for our first robot mode comparison, here we have Kingdom Tracks next to the Studio Series Shatter from the Bumblebee movie. Next up we have the Human Alliance Sideswipe from Dark of the Moon. Next up we have the Binaltech Alternators Tracks. Next up we have the War for Cybertron Earthrise Sunstreaker. Next we have the Masterpiece MP26 Road Rage, which is the same mold as Masterpiece Tracks. And last but certainly not least, we have the man who started it all, the OG G1 Tracks. Alright, so that wraps it up for the robot mode comparisons. So what I'll do now is I'll make a quick camera adjustment, and I will give you my final thoughts on Kingdom Tracks. Alright guys, so my final thoughts on the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Tracks. I think this is a cool figure. This is a deluxe class, you know, so it's a $25 US figure, so you can't expect miracles out of this, but what they've done here is really nice. I mean, this is the iconic Tracks that we knew from G1. That blue and white color scheme just looks great, and they've improved him with better articulation and more molded in detail. The ability to interact with the effects parts just is a blast. There are a few minor gripes on this guy that I mentioned earlier in the review, mostly around those lower legs in robot mode and then the front of the car in car mode, just not tabbing in as securely as I would have liked, but it's not enough to detract from the figure overall. I still recommend this figure. If you can find him, pick him up. I think there's a lot of fun to be had here with this guy, and he's a different transformation than the other figures, so this isn't just a remold or a recopy of something that we already have. So yeah, in short, I would recommend that you pick him up and add him to your collection. I don't think you're going to regret it, and I think the price point is right on this figure. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the review here. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, be sure to like and hit that subscribe button. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what we could be doing better. This channel is as much yours as it is ours, so any and all input is greatly appreciated. And with that, I'm going to stop talking now so I can actually go play with this guy. So we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care.